Biology, Chapter 19, Theory Video 15, Genetic Technology and Agriculture. So, GM plants are the genetically modified plants. Mostly, they are crop plants, obviously, because we have to have some sort of a uh, economic advantage with these plants. Uh, so these plants would be either resistant to herbicides or insect pests, or could be both. Then herbicides resistance plants will allow plants to spray herbicides to kill weeds. So, uh, but the crop or the plant that is genetically modified will not be harmed because it has the gene resistant to herbicides. Then insect or the pest resistant gene will be uh, means that if the it will have a gene, or it will produce some proteins which are toxic to the pests who eat them. So as a result, they will die off. Now, for example, a cotton boll weevil, they will die off as a result of eating these crops, which would have the genes that would produce toxic materials uh, for the pests who eat them. When you when you go to discuss the herbicide resistant crops in detail, what happens is uh, you add a gene that would inhibit uh, that would produce some inhibition enzyme. Now, for example, um, the herbicide glyphosate, it will inhibit the enzyme involved in the synthesis of 3 amino acids, uh, phenyl phenylalanine, uh, triosine, and tryptophan. So these are required uh, to produce proteins essential for growth. So when glyphosate is absorbed by plants' leaves, what happens is they would be transported to the growing tips, and if there is if there is if, you know it will inhibit the uh, activity of the enzymes that carry out this protein production. So then, without the production of proteins, the plants will die. However, if this is taken up by the crop plants also, then they will also die. But the the gene that is introduced to the crop plants using a bacteria called agrobacterium will but nothing will happen to it, because the gene uh, will eliminate the activity of this glyphosate. The glyphosate will be taken up, but it will not affect the growth of the plant. However, there are problems related to this. So the first one is then the GM plants will become an uh, agricultural weed when it is grown in other fields of other crops. That is, now if you the thing is, this plant will be a weed in another field of another crop. It will be, now if rice is growing in a plantation of corn, then rice is a weed, because rice is not required there. So then uh, that is a problem. So that will, because they cannot be killed by the herbicides. So then what happens is uh, the weed will thrive, because there would be competition for sunlight. There would be competition for the other natural resources like water and fertilizer between rice and corn. So as a result, the yield of corn is going to reduce. So that is a problem. Then the other one is the pollen will transfer the resistance genes to wild relatives of this crop plant. So as a result, there would be a hybrid offspring, and they would be an invasive weed. They will become another weed, and also they cannot be destroyed by that. Then when you use these herbicides for a longer period of time and in a large quantities, herbicide resistant weeds will evolve. So that is also another problem. So they have actually these researchers have found herbicide resistant mutant plants close to the agricultural fields where glyphosate has been used extensively. However, this is used as a general weed killer, and also on glyphosate resistant crops. So as a result, it is not only the reason for these things to be it is not only glyphosate that creates these kind of variations, but also not only GM crops but also other crops, and also continuous use of different kind of fertilizers will result in resistance naturally in environment. Then insect resistant crops. So what happens here is they will have now, like I told you earlier, they will have they will have some chemical that is produced inside them, which is going to be that is produced as a result of the activities of a gene that has been introduced. They will when it is consumed by the animal, they will die out. But it is not poisonous for it is not poisonous for other insects. Therefore it is and also they should eat it. Unless they eat it, they won't die. So they add now, for example, Bt toxin. It is lethal to insects that eat it, but harmless to other animals. So this is added to these cotton plants. The Bt toxin is obtained. The gene is obtained from Bacillus thuringiensis. So they are thuringiensis. So this Bacillus thuringiensis, they produce different kind of toxins that can be used against different kind of insect species. However, there are problems once again. There would be resistance evolving in the insect pests. Then there would be damage on similar types of species of insects who can get poisoned by them. Then the added gene will be transferred to other species of plants as well. So as a result, they will actually there are problems. However, there is a positive side to this because less pesticides will be used. So as a result, there wouldn't be much harm. For example, when you spray a pesticide, it kills off all the types of insects, target insects as well as non-target species of insects. But when you talk about Bt toxin, it will be because the animal will have to eat the seeds or the crop, then only they will die. Write down genetic technology and agriculture. Genetically modified plants, GM plants. These are produced by introducing a gene that is either resistant to herbicides, so that farmers are able to spray herbicides to kill weeds, or by adding a gene that would produce pest resistance, which results in pests who eat the crop to die off. However, there are concerns in relation to the use of these GM plants, because they can become agricultural weeds when they grow in fields of other crops, and their pollen can make the wild relatives of the crop plant resistant to herbicides and will become an invasive weed. And herbicide resistant weeds will evolve as a result. Insect resistant crops, leave a line and write insect resistant crops are introduced genes which produce toxins that are harmful or that are lethal to insects who eat those crops. However, it would be harmless to other animals. Again, there are concerns including the evolution of resistant by the insect pests, a damaging effect on other species of insect, and the transfer of gene to other species of plant. However, there is a positive aspect as well, that is the requirement of using less pesticides, which would have killed off non-target species of insect as well. I hope you understood. If you understood, please do question number 20 and 21. If you didn't understand, please let me know, then I will explain it further.